to speed me up.
Delighted to have your company as always. Look forward to seeing you next time on The Chase Australia.
Tonight in 7 News, a teenager stabbed to death. Breaking news on a tragedy unfolding in Melbourne's west. Witnesses say he was attacked by a gang. Also, Daniel Andrews under siege. 3 ministers gone in 25 hours. Labor in crisis. And investigators moving in on a disgraced power broker. State borders start to reopen, but Victorians are being told they're not welcome. A third Melbourne school forced to shut as coronavirus strikes and cases grow again. And how 2 hero tradies took on an armed bandit to stop an ATM mugging.
Live from Melbourne, 7 News with Peter Mitchell starts now.
Good evening. There's tragic news from Melbourne's west tonight where a teenager has been stabbed to death at a shopping centre. It happened a short time ago. The early information is that the victim was just 15 years old. Blake Johnson, the details are just emerging, but witnesses say he was attacked by a gang.
As he walked home from school, Peter, that's what one of the friends of the victim tells us. A group was ambushed outside the Brimbank shopping centre. It's believed that group was students from the same school as the victim. The attackers had weapons and a 15-year-old boy was stabbed. An adult friend of the victim arrived and tried to stop the attackers, but they turned and threatened him too. Paramedics arrived and could be seen trying to revive the boy as his friends watched.
It was more like a jumping. They just jumped him. They chased him down with knives and baseball bats. I think it's all got to do with social media and bullying and things that they say online, and they came after him.
Police have been able to act really quickly on this. We've just learnt that 6 males, unsure of their ages, have been arrested. Peter?
Blake Johnson, thank you. Daniel Andrews is under siege tonight after a third minister quit in the fallout over the corruption scandal, plunging his government deeper into crisis. Marlene Carruthers was forced out as investigators launched a probe into the scandal, with the Premier maintaining he didn't know what was happening under his leadership.
As the political fallout grew, the official inquiries began.
Nothing to say, sorry.
Investigators at the home of disgraced former minister and ALP power broker Adam Somyurek sacked after revelations of his widespread branch stacking inside the party.
Mr Somyurek, we understand you just had visitors. What was it in relation to?
Police and the corruption watchdog IBAC have now been called in, and this afternoon Parliament officials changed the locks at the Deer Park office of Somyurek's closest cabinet ally Marlene Carruthers.
So can we ask if the MPs are cooperating?
Today, she became the third minister in 24 hours to go as the scandal threatens to engulf the Andrews government. This morning, I notified the Premier that I will stand aside from my ministerial responsibilities. I look forward to the opportunity to clear my name.
I believe she's taken the appropriate course of action.
You asked her to go?
No, she made her own decision.
Carruthers and former Assistant Treasurer Robin Scott were both named on Sunday as being involved in Somyurek's activities. But yesterday, the Premier was happy to take their word they'd done nothing wrong.
And I have sought from them an assurance that they have at all times behaved appropriately. They have provided me with that assurance.
Robin Scott eventually quit last night, but Marlene Carruthers held on until the release of recordings apparently planning the branch stacking with Somyurek, using taxpayer-funded staffers to do it.
Maybe, Adam, can I suggest then we have a checklist for every one. We're one big operation, but all our little operations have a checklist.
This morning, some colleagues remain supportive.
Minister Carruthers is doing a very good and important job.
But it was clear the mood was shifting.
I think Marlene needs to reflect on both her commitment to the Premier that she made yesterday and what's been in the papers over the last 24 hours.
And by 10 a.m, she was gone.
127,000 Victorians lost their jobs last month, the state's in recession, and this rotten government is more interested in looking after themselves and their own political power than looking after Victorians.
Carruthers' 4-year ministerial career has not been stellar. The low point, forced to apologise for telling the public not to open their doors to the Irish to avoid being scammed.
If anybody knocks on your door that has an Irish accent, automatically ask them to leave.
Now she's been locked out of her ministerial office while security camera specialists comb her electorate office. central to her party's most damaging scandal in years. And the stakes really could not be higher for the Victorian ALP as this drama plays out. It is in many ways now a game of survival. We know that Labor factions will be working overtime to try to take advantage of this crisis, but there are two fundamental questions remaining. Will this scandal claim any more scalps in the Andrews government? And just how damaging will the damage be for Daniel Andrews' leadership, Mitch?
Laurel Irving at State Parliament, thank you. Daniel Andrews is promising that no one else on his team is involved in branch stacking. He's given an assurance to Parliament after the opposition went on the attack with a torrid grilling.
After hemorrhaging 3 ministers in 24 hours, the Premier was resolute he'd stemmed the bleeding.
Are you confident that no other ministers are using taxpayer-funded staff to further their own political interests?
I am.
Inside the chamber, he couldn't say for sure.
It is my expectation, my experience and the standard that I require that all ministers and their staff act appropriately at all times.
Couldn't lie straight in bed. Couldn't lie straight in bed.
Adam Somyurek wasn't in Parliament. Marlene Kairouz didn't have to show either. COVID-19 restrictions saving her the embarrassment of a public walk of shame from the front bench to the back. But another MP did get caught in the crossfire.
It could be number 4, mate.
Minister for Equality Martin Foley grilled on one of his own, a senior figure in the factional left.
Can the minister guarantee that Mr Helikari has never used your taxpayer-funded ministerial office or their resources during office hours to conduct Labor Party factional activity?
The opposition also used question time to call for an independent audit into all ministerial offices to uncover if any more are caught up in the scandal. But so far it's only IBAC and Victoria Police doing the digging. Jodie Lee, 7 News.
And within the last hour, the crisis has reached new levels. Political editor Mark Riley joins us from Canberra. And Mark, the federal ALP has taken control of the Victorian Labor Party.
At the Premier's request, Mitch, the Victorian branch of the Labor Party will be effectively placed into administration tonight, with former Premier Steve Bracks and former Federal Labor Minister Jenny Macklin taking control for at least the next 6 months, to put a broom through the place with all pre-selections and other party votes and processes suspended. Premier Andrews asked for this in a letter to National Secretary Paul Erickson today, in which the Premier declared he had no confidence in the party processes in his state and requested this extraordinary intervention, which is expected to be endorsed tonight by Labor's federal executive. Steve Bracks and Jenny Macklin will deliver an interim report on reforming the branch on July 31 and a final report on November 1, remaining in effective control of the state party until January 31 next year to implement those changes, with all staff reporting to them. It is a brutal intervention to smash the branch stackers' business model and seize back control of the Labor Party. Mitch?
Extraordinary indeed. Mark Riley in Canberra, thank you. A protester has been arrested outside the Premier's office. He was caught painting an anti-Belt and Road slogan on the footpath.
This is my peaceful protest against the corrupt Victorian government's Belt and Road initiative that's putting the interests of the Chinese Communist Party ahead of the interests of the Victorian government.
Cleaners immediately tried to mop away the words. The man could face criminal damage charges. Victorians have been shut out of South Australia in a border war that's labelled as too infectious to cross state lines. It comes as a family cluster in Melbourne continues to grow, and a third primary school was forced to close.
From midnight tonight, the borders of South Australia are open, but not to Victorians.
We look forward to a time when the entire country can be open to all interstate travel.
Right now, we lead the nation in testing per capita, but we're still recording new cases and new clusters. New South Wales is the only other state or territory to have recorded new infections overnight, but their 3 new cases are all in hotel quarantine. Of our 9 new Victorian cases, 1 of those is linked to a family outbreak. 2 have been traced to the Monash Hospital hospital cluster, 2 are returned travellers in hotel quarantine and 3 are under investigation. The last is a student from Strathmore Primary.
It's been very difficult. We put all of the books away. We've got them all out again this morning, so my children are homeschooling today. But of course, we've had no actual work set by the school at this point.
St Dominic's in Broadmeadows and Pakenham Springs Primary School have also been shut after outbreaks. The big question is, when will workers be allowed back into the city? The Chief Health Officer says they're working on a plan for a staggered return to work.
We're keeping all options open in terms of returning to work. At the moment, the advice remains the same, that if you can work from home, we want you to continue.
ANZ will give its workers the option.
But we also recognise that some people just don't feel comfortable, don't want to make the journey, and so we're saying you don't have to come back unless you want to come back.
They're preparing to return 35% of their 7,000 workers. Chanel Vella, 7 News.
A driver was killed today in a horror smash on the Monash freeway. 2 trucks and a car collided near Heatherton Road this morning. The impact crushed the rear of the car. Outbound lanes were closed for several hours. A chain of Melbourne bottle shops is refusing to stock a beer brand over claims it's racist. Melina Saris is following the beer brawl, and Melina, bottle shop owners say the name Colonial is degrading.
Mitch, bottle shop chain Black Hearts and Sparrows say they'll no longer carry any Colonial Brewing Company products. The chain says the word colonial is offensive to Aboriginal people. Colonial Brewing Company is based in Western Australia, and the company's management is now seriously considering changing the name.
There's historical meanings to the word colonial, and we have to recognise that. And, we're not the only company that has a name that has some meaning of the past. So for us, there's risk both ways, but we're just going to have to address those and make an insightful decision going forward.
Black Hearts and Sparrows say they'll donate any proceeds of colonial beer already sold to the protest group Warriors of the Aboriginal Resistance, who organised last weekend's Black Lives Matter protest, Mitch.
Melina Saris, thank you. The Prime Minister has promised to restore jobs lost during the pandemic as new figures show the full extent of the damage. Women have been hardest hit, losing hundreds of thousands of jobs, but there's hope the employment tide is turning.
It's being called a pink recession.
Women have been the hardest hit through COVID-19.
Out of work at a greater rate than men.
325,000 women have lost their jobs.
On my left. I think that's terrible news. That's, really harsh.
I feel like it's not equal.
Most in the hardest hit industries.
Hospitality, tourism and retail.
But as those sectors slowly reopen, women are now regaining their jobs at a faster rate, a 1.4% increase in May, men just 0.4%.
We will be working to restore those jobs, Mr Speaker, that have been lost.
Though conceding some will lose their jobs when the JobKeeper wage subsidies withdrawn in September.
How many jobs is he planning to sacrifice to his snapback?
If the Leader of the Opposition wants to tell the Australian people that in a recession there is no hardship, then he is a fool.
And tough new mandatory sentencing laws for child sex offences have passed with bipartisan support, despite some very partisan clashes, including this attack on Labor from WA Liberal Vince Connolly.
These people have stood up for pedophiles over our Aussie kids and should be deeply ashamed.
The member will withdraw.
He was forced to withdraw as Peter Dutton took over.
You opposed it. You opposed it.
Labor did try to amend the bill to remove mandatory sentences, but when that was lost, supported all, including the mandatory measures.
Labor supported this bill.
Practically united, politically divided. Mark Riley, 7 News.
And after a big slump yesterday, the Australian share market has shot back up today, gaining nearly $70 billion in value. Network Finance editor Gemma Acton joins us now. Gemma, what's caused this turnaround?
Well,
Well, Peter, a lot of it's down to developments in the US. Today's big news was President Donald Trump reportedly planning a new infrastructure package worth around 1.4 trillion Australian dollars. So after 3 days of heavy losses, the ASX today added 3.89%, up around $68.2 billion in its best day since early April. Among today's big winners were buy now, pay later companies, including Afterpay and Zip, both around 10% higher, and OpenPay up nearly 30%. And after slipping last week, consumer confidence is once again back on the right track. It's now risen in 10 out of the last 11 weeks. Today's market gains only adding to all that overall confidence. Peter.
Finance editor Gemma Acton, thank you. An armed thug is off the streets tonight thanks to a couple of hero tradies. They risked their lives in a brave citizen's arrest, pinning the man down until police arrived.
A high-vis jumper with steel cap boots isn't your usual superhero costume, but Sam Dale's actions to take down an armed thief has earned him the title.
Yeah, I've copped some good cred, yeah.
1 minute, the 22-year-old was grabbing breakfast on Smith Street. The next, he's wrestling a man armed with 2 kitchen knives.
He was crossing the road and there were a lot of people around, and I figured if he had a knife, well, he's a threat to the public, so yeah, something had to be done.
Mr. Dale followed the man down the street after he allegedly threatened a woman at an ATM and demanded her cash.
Just pinned his arms against him and made sure he didn't reach for anything.
The female victim ran screaming for help, and it was her cries that first alerted the tradies to the trouble. The 36-year-old man was taken into police custody and charged with attempted armed robbery. Together with other tradies, Mr. Dale performed a citizen's arrest until police officers arrived.
Copped a few firm handshakes, so I'll take that.
And he has a warning for other villains who may cross his path.
Don't pull knives on people or you'll get dropped.
Tegan Dolling, 7 News.
There are worrying new developments for the AFL tonight, with Carlton star Eddie Betts revealing he's been racially abused every year of his footy career. Former Senator and Olympic gold medalist Nova Peris says it's further proof not enough is being done to stamp it out.
Eddie Betts has called out plenty of racist attacks, the most recent, this one last week. But we've learned the regularity is worse than most thought.
He said to me yesterday there hasn't been a year in his career where he hasn't had some sort of vilification thrown at him.
That's almost 16 years. Olympic gold medalist Nova Peris says it shouldn't always be up to the victim to call out trolls.
People say things and they don't realise it's wrong until we call you out. And if we don't call people out, and it shouldn't be us to be calling people out. Everyone should be.
Nova Peris says the AFL should have retaliated harder to the latest racist attack.
What should have followed was we stand with Eddie Betts, and if this person is a member of an AFL club, we are going to tear your membership up, like Fremantle did. What Fremantle did was brilliant. It sends a strong message that we aren't going to tolerate this sort of shit anymore.
The AFL says it recognises racism causes great harm and trauma and is not a minor matter. The person behind the latest racist tweet is believed to be an Essendon fan. The club and the league are still investigating.
AFL boss Gil McLachlan says players taking a knee before the weekend's matches demonstrates racism has no place in football or our community. Blake Johnson, 7 News.
Tim Watson's here now with a look ahead to tonight's sport. And Tim, a club captain's been ruled out for one of the weekend's biggest games.
Mitch will tell you who and why shortly. Plus, new skipper Marcus Bontempelli breaks his silence on the Dogs' nightmare start. Find out how Jager O'Meara and Tiger Tom Lynch fared in their fitness tests ahead of Thursday night. Melbourne Victory returns to the track as the FFA locks in a crosstown clash to kickstart the season. And Cricket Australia's boss officially acts today. Mitch will tell you who'll take over and what Ricky Ponting thinks about the whole situation. All that and more shortly.
Thank you, Tim. We'll see you then. Next, the unfolding tragedy in Melbourne's west. A suburb in shock as a teenage boy is stabbed to death at a shopping centre. Also, London's shops swamped for a first dose of lockdown retail therapy. A new milestone for Nima and Dawa, the twins who touched Melbourne's hearts. And later, the new mobile plan promising free bills, but there is a catch.
7 News, brought to you by Industry Superfunds.
I suddenly realized we're all in this together.
That feels especially true, given what's going on. It is good to know that our super will help us and our economy bounce back. And if you're with one of these, your super is invested in things that create jobs and keep Aussie businesses strong, delivering good long-term returns that benefit all of us. After all,
We're all in this together.
It's coming! No matter where you are,
Quick, Sophie!
whatever you do,
Don't drop the ball. Get it!
because it could be the end of you.
Tonight, friendships unravel.
I cannot wait for things to come crashing down.
You won't be waiting long.
Big Brother unveils his first huge twist.
Let's play.
All new Big Brother, tonight, 7:30 on 7.
Thanks to Light and Easy, Australians of all ages can enjoy their choice of delicious, nutritious meals in the comfort and safety of their own home. Especially those at a greater health risk during these times. If you or someone close to you could benefit by having Light and Easy meals delivered safely with our contactless delivery service, visit lightandeasy.com.au or call us on 13 15 12.
A little bit of chili, a little bit of turmeric.
Classic hits to carry you through the night.
Dinner's up.
Oh, lovely. Hi, everybody. So good. Best dinner yet.
4 out of 5 people who are blind don't need to be. A simple $25 surgery can restore sight. Please donate today to help carry on Fred's vision.
Every eye is an eye.
If you've been injured at work, it's important to know where you stand. Talk to Australia's #1 injuries law firm. Morris Blackburn Lawyers will maximise your compensation so you can get on with your life again. Call us now. It costs nothing to know where you stand.
Australians of all ages are choosing Light and Easy. Light and Easy can even assist those on aged care home care packages. If you or someone close to you could benefit by having healthy meals delivered, call us on 13 15 12.
Tasty, affordable and delicious. What's for dinner in the next break with Coles?
We're crossing now to Deer Park, where a teenager has been stabbed to death at Bringbank Shopping Centre late today. Georgia Comensoli is there, and Georgia, 6 people have been arrested.
Peter, as you can see behind me, there is already a huge community presence here. A lot of young people are now surrounding the crime scene. There are dozens of police officers and SES crews. Now, it's believed the attackers ran through here. The victim, a 16-year-old boy, was stabbed multiple times in the chest and tragically did not survive. Those attackers ran off, but police caught up with them fairly quickly around the corner on Billingback Road, and 6 of them were arrested. But the exact circumstances that led up to this attack for that schoolboy on his way home is now being investigated. Peter?
Georgia Comensoli at Deer Park, thank you. A Melbourne man has been jailed for 10 years for his part in an international drug ring. Dean Michael Panchuk was arrested trying to smuggle $15 million worth of drugs into the country in coffee tins. A judge said the 35-year-old father of 2 was likely motivated to commit the crime to pay off debts. There were big queues outside famous London department stores for shoppers' first chance of retail therapy in 3 months. But it's not shopping as we know it. Any clothes that are tried on but not bought have to go into quarantine.
Social distancing is the slogan.
If you're
But outside Nike, shoppers just didn't do it. After 85 days, the desire for a retail fix eclipsed virus fears with queues across the country.
Back in the real world.
But still a far cry from what Europe's busiest shopping strip used to look like.
I think for the first few weeks and months, we only expect around 15 or 20% of footfall because we haven't got the international tourists here.
Harrods relies on them, the famous luxury department store reopening after its first closure in 170 years. Clothes can be tried on, but anything not purchased is quarantined for 72 hours. Even the layout of Oxford Street has had to change. These barriers extend the footpath to ensure people can stay 2 metres apart. But in many settings, that's not possible. So for now, hair and beauty salons, restaurants and pubs are still closed. While on the continent, borders are opening.
It's nice to be the first person off the plane and the first person out the door.
Not everyone is free to travel everywhere. In a trial, Spain has allowed thousands of German holidaymakers into the country without a 14-day quarantine to see how its popular tourist islands fare in a bid to salvage summer. In London, Sarah Greenhalgh, 7 News.
We've got an update tonight on formerly conjoined twins who were successfully separated in Melbourne. Nima and Dawa from Bhutan are turning 3 next month, and as these photos show, they're perfectly happy and healthy. Their mother says they're a little naughty but love exploring their Himalayan home. The Children First Foundation helped bring them to Australia in 2018 for life-saving surgery at the Royal Children's Hospital. Great news. Jane Bunn joins us now. Jane, what a day of contrasts in Melbourne.
Mitch, it was indeed. Today was certainly the day to keep the umbrella handy. It began with a red sky, that is nature's foresight into a change on the way. And it ended with a spectacular rainbow over Melbourne. I'll move out of the way, it's quite huge. That bow travelled, spotted from Hampton to Altona, right through to the Dandenongs. Here is how it unfolded. After another mild night, 13, we rose up to 18 by lunch. Then the temperature quickly dropped back down to 14. The warmth wasn't over, rose back up to 18 again before another plummet late this afternoon. The first drop was with a quick band of showers. Another warm and sunny spell followed before more showers came in later. These ones here keep going tonight. The later showers are with a front passing through that changed the wind from warm northwesterly to cold southwesterly. So it's a cooler day tomorrow. I'll have the forecast after sport, Mitch.
See you then. Thank you, Jane. Next, a plea from our pubs, the simple change that could help them survive the pandemic. Also a consumer alert, the popular sauce that you'll want to take out of your pantry. A bus driver takes on a thug preying on an elderly woman. And what you need to do to look after your pet when you go back to the office.
So what triggers this guy?
Who? Everything they've ever learned.
Where else do you go?
Everything they've ever done.
Who else do you hurt?
Has all been leading to this.
Us. They come after us.
The killer final season of Criminal Minds. Tonight after Big Brother.
Hey guys, Dan and Steph back again. Thank you very much to Cole. So tonight, we're going to do a great dish for you. It's one of my favourite dishes that Steph cooks for me. It is the smoky bacon meatballs. Absolutely delicious and under $5 per serve. So under 20 bucks, feed a family of 4.
We've actually bought the bulk pack of the Coles mince. And the best thing about this one, it's cheaper to buy it in bulk, but we're going to use half of this for our meatballs and use the other half for another meal later in the week. So our first step is we need to process some bacon, onion, garlic and some oregano. And what we're going to do now is fry this off in a fry pan. So we've got the bacon onion mix all fried off, and what we're going to do is take half of that out of the frying pan, and that's going to be a part of our meatball mixture with the beef mince. With the extra half that's still in the pan, what we're going to do is get our sauce happening. 2 tins of tomatoes, tomato paste, and we've got some reduced chicken stock as well. We have some fresh thyme sprigs. What really makes this sauce is a drizzle of balsamic, and what we're going to do is we'll cook that down now.
So let's get on with these meatballs.
So what we have is the half of the onion bacon mix cooled down, and we're going to use half of the beef mince that we bought in bulk. So that's just going to go straight into the bowl. Combine these, we're going to add 2 eggs also. Do you mind putting some seasoning in there? And what we need to do is squeeze that all together. We're going to roll some meatballs. And what we like to do is make them about the golf ball size. The next step is to adding them straight into our yummy sauce, which is over on the stove. Definitely need some salt, pepper, and a little smidge of sugar to balance it out. And it's time now for the meatballs. Straight into the sauce. What we need to do is cover it with mozzarella cheese. Now, they go in the oven to be baked for about 20 minutes until they're nice and golden on top. In the meantime, we need to cook our pastas. Simple, boiling water.
Let's see if the pasta's cooked. It's cooked. Amazing.
The next thing we need to do now, let them sit for about 5 to 10 minutes.
So there you have it, guys, our smoky baked meatballs. Very delicious, but also great value for money at under $5 per serve using great Australian beef mince.
Get out there, it's a winter warmer, and we hope you love it.
Still those mindless hoons throw the papers. We have had cases before where that stuff is caught on fire.
Pete, it's littering at best, Pete. You've gone overboard. There's no chance that a fire could start, Peter Lindy.
That's just what I said. It can be very, very dangerous.
Never wrong.
The Front Bar, Wednesday on 7.
Restrictions may have been eased for drinkers at pubs across Victoria, but they're still struggling to survive. The industry says unless more customers are allowed through the doors, half of our hotels will be forced to close.
Publicans are frothing with anger. Next week, they can have 50 people per room, but still have to abide by the 1 customer per 4 square metres rule.
In essence, Nick, it's 25% of your capacity, and I can assure you the bills aren't at 25% of their capacity.
They won't break restrictions, but plan protests, because they say under current rules, half our pubs will shut over the next year.
There's only so much you can sustain before you go, hang on a minute, the numbers are managed, they're suppressed, can we get on with it? No other industry would have copped this.
Measure up their usable space.
At the Lincoln Hotel, tape measures prove how tough it all is.
That becomes a very limiting capacity. We've seen a lot of confusion and a lot of frustration from publicans because they just want their customers back, they want their staff employed.
The owner here sick of telling customers he can't fit them in.
We say no hundreds of times a day at the moment.
According to publican Ian Ling, under the 1 person per 4 square metre rule, you'd be able to have 18 people having a drink in here at any given time. But change that to 1 person every 2 square metres and the number jumps to 36. All of a sudden, it becomes worthwhile.
Pubs belong to the community. This pub doesn't belong to me. It belongs to the community. They want it open.
Nick McCallum, 7 News.
An urgent recall has been issued for a Legos brand sauce. There's the potential for a batch of 500-gram jars of tuna bake with spinach and garlic to become contaminated. It only affects products with a best before date of the 1st of May 2022. Jars of the product should be returned to retailers for a refund. German police have reportedly declared missing toddler Madeleine McCann dead, informing her parents in a letter she was murdered. But they won't reveal how they know. The officer leading the investigation into suspect Christian Bruckner says he won't put all his cards on the table. He's worried that would jeopardise the case. Donald Trump is tonight finalising a plan to reform the nation's police. The US president labelled the latest police killing disturbing, as the victim's family called for justice and change.
The familiar war cry of a protest now spilling into its 4th week. A movement mourning another name.
We want to keep his name positive and great.
Rayshard Brooks, a black man fatally shot by a white officer after a struggle over a taser.
We are angry. When does it stop?
The 27-year-old's family today demanding action through tears. The president is preparing an executive order on policing.
I thought it was a terrible situation.
I studied it closely.
Focusing on reform, accountability and creating a national standard for the use of force.
We will do better, even better, and we're going to try and do it fast.
As thousands of people continue to take to the streets, Donald Trump is preparing to address thousands of others in a very different setting, eyeing a return to his favourite stage, a campaign rally this weekend, the first since the COVID-19 crisis. In the United States, Amelia Brace, 7 News.
A bus driver has leapt into action when he saw an elderly woman being mugged in Hungary. He hit the brakes and ran to help the woman just as the thief was trying to steal her handbag. The driver, a former Iraq soldier, clearly had the upper hand on the thief, who quickly ran away. Pets have enjoyed the lockdown more than most by getting to spend so much time with their families. The RSPCA is worried many dogs will suffer anxiety if they're suddenly left home alone when their owners head back to the office.
4-year-old Alfie doesn't like to be alone.
We were told that he has separation anxiety. He has anxiety around other dogs.
Pat and Kate Maiden adopted the pug beagle Cross at the start of lockdown.
I just kind of fell in love with him when I saw that he was still at the RSPCA after quite a few months.
Thousands of dogs like Alfie have been adopted during the pandemic. The RSPCA is worried about what happens when owners head back to the office.
I think the first thing would be to be really patient and understanding and see things from your animal's point of view.
We know that he needs to be stimulated, so we leave him things to do.
Owners should gradually introduce changes so pets aren't confused when they're left alone. It's important to create a routine. Walk the dog in the morning, leave them alone at times during the day. Don't leave all the toys out. Rotate them to increase the novelty factor and find creative ways to feed your pet.
As more Australians return to work, the RSPCA is wary of a spike in owners deciding they don't want a pet anymore. They're pleading with people to take adoption seriously.
We've seen a few animals coming in the last couple of weeks that have been brought in because of financial hardship.
The Maidens say Alfie is here to stay.
It's so nice having him around, isn't it?
Yeah, it is.
Yeah.
Tom Chadwick, 7 News.
Ahead, a train station ambush. A teenage girl punched and kicked in a cowardly attack. Also, mobile phone plans facing dramatic changes. A new player offering data at zero cost, but it's not free of conditions. A new development in the controversy over Captain Cook statues. And a heart-stopping close encounter with a shark.
Heidi, nobody can understand you with that accent.
Welcome to your new family.
I couldn't think. I wanted to get up and dance.
You ain't seen nothing yet.
Does your mother know you do this?
New America's Got Talent, Wednesday on 7.
The MS Dream Home Lottery closes this Wednesday. Make sure you've got your tickets to win one of two $1.5 million grand prizes. Get your tickets now.
As a Lucra Super member, you get a hands-on approach to your superannuation. Lucra Super is your industry super fund. Together, we are working for a better future.
Advocate protects against more parasites than any other treatment. So your pet is free to dream. Advocate, so everyone can rest easy.
You're relying on our network more, so we're accelerating the rollout of Telstra 5G, giving more people and businesses access to fast download speeds in more places than ever.
What am I looking forward to? Well, I just really want what I have today.
The more life changes, the more you know what's important. MLC.
Just fine.
There's a glass and a half in everyone.
Well, there he is. Superfood, super salmon, full of omega-3, protein and also super good looking. Now only $10.99 a 4-pack. Okay, that's just showing off. Aldi, good, different.
Customers in Victoria told us that they saved on average $218 when they switched their comprehensive car insurance online to Budget Direct. So why not get a Budget Direct quote today?
Garnier Fructis Hair Food to nourish hungry hair. 98% natural, no parabens, with 3 ways to enjoy. As a conditioner, mask or leave-in. Fructis Hair Food by Garnier. Naturally. Hungry for more? Aloe Vera Hair Food available now.
A teenager has been set upon in a savage gang attack at Southern Cross Station. Paul Dowsley has exclusive details on this worrying assault. And Paul, the victim was attacked as she waited for a train.
Sunday afternoon, Mitch, by herself, about to head home on the Pakenham line when this group of about 8 girls approached and attacked. Some of them filmed this beating on their mobile phones, callous and brutal as they punched her and kicked her. The 16-year-old did not retaliate. Today, I met the victim's mother, who said her daughter was also dragged to the ground and stomped on, left with broken ribs, black eyes, a swollen temple and bruises all over. The girl knows one of the group and suspects they lashed out because of a boy she'd spoken to. Her mum said even though her daughter was bleeding from the mouth and nose afterwards, other commuters watched and didn't help. The mum reported it to police, but they say for them to take action, they need the victim to make a statement. But the mum says that that is not going to happen because her daughter is fearful that if police do investigate, that might provoke this group, Mitch, to attack again.
Unbelievable. Thank you. Paul Dowsley reporting. Yarra Council is turning to local Indigenous groups to determine whether a Captain Cook Memorial in Fitzroy's Edinburgh Gardens should be kept or moved. The plaque was targeted last weekend and defaced with white spray paint. The council will consider the memorial's fate next week. A new mobile phone service provider is set to shake up the market by offering a plan that costs nothing. The $0 deal is the first of its kind in Australia, and while experts say it's a good way of keeping costs down, it could catch people out.
From paying bills to keeping in touch, even watching TV shows, mobile phones have become an essential part of life.
Our mobile phone is kind of the remote control of our lives.
Now there's a new free plan on the market from Xero Mobile.
We give you the initial access for free on an ongoing basis, and then you can add on what you need.
On the Xero plan, users will get 1 gigabyte of data, free incoming calls and SMS, free voicemail and free calls to 1800 and 1300 numbers. But there's a catch. Outgoing calls and SMSs are pay as you go, which can be costly. And experts say the 1 gig of data won't stretch very far.
A lot of us are making video calls, keeping in touch on the move. All of those things use up a lot of data, so 1 gigabyte would run out really quickly.
Xero customers will also be bombarded with advertisements. For those looking for cheap alternatives without the ads, they are prepaid plans. With Optus, you get 5 gigs of data for $10 and 100 minutes of calls. Telstra also has a $10 plan for 1 gig of data. Slightly cheaper still, Vodafone is offering 45 gigs, but only for a short time. Samantha Brett, 7 News.
Tim Watson is next with sport, and Tim, Nathan Buckley and Brett Ratton have a couple of selection dilemmas.
Yes, Mitch, looking forward to this clash, but a big-name Saint is out while plenty of Pies are pressing their case to play on Saturday, plus Dogs captain Marcus Bontempelli calls for calm ahead of a giant rematch. Find out how Hawke, Jager O'Meara and Tom Lynch fared in their fitness tests. Ricky Ponting's passionate call to arms with an Englishman now in charge of Cricket Australia, and Melbourne Victory locked in to restart the A-League season.
It's coming!
No matter where you are,
Quick, Sophie!
whatever you do,
Don't drop the ball.
because it could be the end of you.
Tonight, friendships unravel.
I cannot wait for things to come crashing down.
You won't be waiting long.
Big Brother unveils his first huge twist.
Let's play.
All new Big Brother, tonight, 7:30 on 7.
The streets are calling. Make sure you're ready to answer. The BMW 118i from 49,900 drive away. Joy is coming.
Meet the crew. They got their own way of betting. And this is me. I've always got the answer.
Make this AFL season one to remember. If your team leads at halftime, you win. That's right. Lead at halftime and we'll pay you out straight away as a winner. PointsBet.
For relief from frequent heartburn, there's an alternative to prescription medicine. New Zanzol 24-hour. Available from your pharmacist without a prescription, Zanzol 24-hour lets you take control of heartburn and acid reflux on your own terms. By reducing stomach acid production, it provides relief from the burning sensation in the chest that occurs when stomach acid rises up into the esophagus. So take control of your heartburn. Choose Zanzol 24-hour today.
For a schmackos? Roger!
You should expect more from your super. With Vic Super, you get more. One of Australia's top profit-to-member funds, our award-winning member service, plus competitive fees and solid returns, help you get more of the future you want.
In my own way. Is So Good almond milk the better milk for you? It's dairy-free and full of calcium. So Good almond milk is packed with vitamins, and unsweetened varieties have no added sugar. Feel good inside and out and make today so good.
Let's do it, baby.
It's on, mate.
Make this Saturday one to remember. Get best tote on all exotics on every race across all Sydney, Melbourne, Brisbane and Adelaide races. PointsBet.
Welcome back. New captain Marcus Bontempelli is adamant the Western Bulldogs can rebound quickly from the doldrums. Old foe GWS awaits on Friday night as pressure mounts on the highly fancied Dogs.
A 5-day break and hopefully a quick fix.
We all know how quickly things can change and that's the mindset you've got to have.
And waiting is GWS, the team that only 3 games ago monstered Bontempelli and the Dogs. Bont doing his best to play it down.
All games are important for us, Steve-O. There is clearly some history with GWS, which we've always, looked forward to playing a part of those games. That'll play some sort of role in how the game's probably built up from an outside perspective, but the key focus for us now is just to get our best brand of football out there.
It will be another major test just 2 games into his captaincy reign.
Now, I've got great faith in this group and what they're capable of, mates, and I'm just going to do my best to help lead us in the best way that we can. I think it's got to be a balance. I have to still be able to influence the game from an individual perspective, but obviously understand where I can help from a team perspective.
Recent questions about handling the burden of captaincy haven't fazed him.
I think you expect it. I've been around the game probably long enough now.
And while those team numbers are scary, the coach is staying positive.
He has so much belief in what we're capable of.
Now, Tom Liberatore hasn't played since round 20 last year, such a hard man in the Bulldogs side, very much in the mix. In fact, I believe he will return to add some much-needed bite against the Giants, and Easton Wood will miss a month with that quad injury, Tim.
Thanks, Steve-O. Well, a day after the AFL changed the sling tackle rule, the league is now considering another change. Tom Brown joins us live from AFL House. And Tom, the AFL is worried about the impact of breaks between goals.
Tim, tonight the AFL is in discussions about changing the length of time between the goal and the centre bounce from 60 seconds back to 45 or 50 seconds. Now, the AFL made this change mainly due to COVID, with individual drink bottles for the players. It helped the water boys get out in a minute or so, but post round 2, after some feedback, the AFL operations team is discussing easing it back, possibly as soon as this weekend. The extra 10 seconds is causing a slight delay between goals. There's also a theory that the minute break at the moment, combined with the shorter quarters, is impacting players' requisite fitness levels and even which teams will do well in these circumstances.
The thing you really do notice in the games at the moment, though, is just how long there is between a goal being scored and the centre bounce.
In the meantime, Saints captain Jaron Geary won't take on the Pies on Saturday. He injured his hamstring in the first quarter against the Dogs. He played out the game up forward. Club sources predicting 2 weeks or so. It's relatively minor. Collingwood's main training session on Thursday. Jaden Stevenson is trying to break back into the side. He trained strongly today, as you can see. The Pies rested Brodie Grundy, their star ruckman, say he's just nursing a knocked knee. Jeremy McGovern, meantime, tonight appeared at the tribunal via video link from the Gold Coast in his tracksuit, not a suit. His week ban stands. And Tim, expect the AFL to release the fixture, the draw for the next 2 rounds early next week, Tim.
Thanks, Tom. Hawthorn star Jager O'Meara is poised to take on Richmond this Thursday night as the Hawks look to respond from their Geelong thrashing. A big-name Tiger also says he'll be right to go despite an ankle concern.
No helmets, no face guard, no worries for Jager O'Meara, the star midfielder set to return from the facial fracture that kept him out of the footy restart, as Alistair Clarkson faces questions over the long-term direction of his Hawks. Tom Lynch brushed aside concerns over an ankle injury after a scan yesterday.
Training today, I'm playing this weekend, so I'm no worries at all.
Harley Bennell was taking it easy as he juggles his return to AFL footy. Christian Petrarca's improvement not lost on his teammates.
It's just a maturity thing, I think. Hadn't been seen upon as a leader type player. He's a bit of a larrikin and jokes around, but his training standards are second to none.
Matt Rowell dominated round 2 like he dominated school footy at Carey Grammar.
To be honest, I was just out there just playing footy.
A perfect 10 coaches' votes to go with a Rising Star nomination in just his second game, not to mention a likely 3 Brownlow votes to come at the end of the year. And some high praise from Joel Selwood, along with a personal text from the Cats skipper.
I've grown up idolising him. He's been, one of my childhood heroes. To get something like that is it's pretty surreal.
A new contract with the Suns not far away for footy's next big thing.
We can actually, bring success to this club, which hasn't been done before, and it's a real motivating factor.
Andrew McCormack, 7 News.
With a passionate call to arms, Ricky Ponting is urging everyone in Australian cricket to draw a line in the sand and unite. CEO Kevin Roberts quit today. He'd lost the support of states, players, staff and finally the board.
From the grassroots to our greats, everyone's wondering how it came to this.
There's so many good things, I think, for Australian cricket to look forward to as this summer rolls on.
But the CEO's gone after just 20 months in the job.
Cricket in Australia was on the nose around the world. I think he's done a great job leading us through that, but now it's time for some new leadership.
Kevin Roberts battled the players in a bitter 2017 pay dispute. He was never truly trusted. After Sandpaper Gate, cricket was recovering. Then COVID-19 hit in the off-season. Staff were stood down, financial forecasts were mysterious, the states revolted, then the players, the board acted last night.
Hopefully Cricket Australia and everyone involved in cricket in Australia can get together and reset and move forward in a nice positive way.
With October's T20 World Cup set for a likely year's delay, tournament boss Nick Hockley steps in.
We can all work together and on the same page to ensure when the summer starts that we're in as good a shape as we possibly can be.
Matt Carmichael, 7 News.
The FFA has announced Melbourne Victory will restart the A-League season against Western United on July 16. Victory players return to the track for the first time since the pandemic under the watchful eye of new interim coach Grant Brebner. But he won't be putting his hand up for the full-time role.
This will be a good learning curve for me, but there's still a lot of education that I want to go through before I step into a position like this.
Victory sits 6th on the ladder. And Mitch, just quickly before I go to great news, the VFL season has got the go-ahead. 8 teams, 7 rounds and a final series. It gets underway on August 1.
That is fantastic. Now we'd just love to see some junior footy get a bit of action. That'd be great.
Slowly it's all coming back.
Thank you very much, Tim. Jane is next with the forecast. And Jane, what can we expect tomorrow?
Well, Mitch, cooler temperatures, they do return, but the sunny parts should be feeling quite nice. Those details are next.
Sweetheart, don't cry. I'll rub my eyes on that.
Felt like he gave up on us.
I don't know if the marriage can be saved.
How do you mend a broken family?
Sweetheart, don't cry. I'll rub my eyes all night. If you should need me.
Tell me that you don't love me and I'll walk away.
If you should need me.
Home and Away, weeknights on 7.
At Rest, we're always working to protect your super. We keep our fees low so more of your money stays where it belongs, in your super. It's part of our commitment to you.
Even at the best of times, finding a good job can be hard. And the same goes for finding and keeping good employees. That's why JobKeeper is here, to help Australian businesses keep their current staff and to help employees keep their current jobs, which goes a long way to keeping your business going, even if you're self-employed, so that when you're ready to start up again or get back to work, we can all get back to business sooner. To find out more, visit jobkeeper.gov.au, authorised by the Australian Government, Canberra.
I love shopping online for my pets at Pet Circle. I can easily find thousands of products, all with the best price guarantee. These guys are like family and I want to take care of them. But finding their favourite brands is hard and expensive. Then I discovered petcircle.com.au. With Pet Circle, I save on food, treats and litter, all with contactless, free delivery to my door. There's no reason to shop anywhere else. And it seems a lot of people agree. Shop online at petcircle.com.au.
The MS Dream Home Lottery closes this Wednesday. Make sure you've got your tickets to win one of two $1.5 million grand prizes. Get your tickets now.
Now I need to find an aged care worker. Someone to help me get ready for the day and some physio help.
Mabel has over 10,000 independent care and support workers ready to help you. Find your people at mabel.com.au.
Thanks for calling ING. This is Adam speaking. How can I help you? No, I'm currently working from home.
Oh, you can call anytime, so...
Sorry. And she's currently nibbling at my toe right now.
Yeah, working from home was a bit tricky at first, but...
There's definitely been some stray farts, hasn't there, mate?
And now your loan's on a fixed rate. Can I help you with anything else?
No, you made my day.
Well, whatever 2020 throws at you, we're here for a chat anytime.
Too easy.
For the sake of those around you, eat a bit more Aussie fruit, veg and nuts. It's the good mood food.
When the road calls, here's the very best way to answer. The BMW X3 S-Drive 20i from $69,900 drive away. Joy is coming.
This weather report brought to you by the BMW 1 Series.
Hello again. The weather has been changing quite a lot today. Hard to plan your day, but bringing a lot of rainbows. It was 13 to begin, 18 was the top in pleasant sunshine. But that really doesn't tell the full story. At lunchtime, it went back down to 14. Then it plummeted again around 5 p.m. as a cold front and dark cloud arrived. There was a small band of showers with that drop at lunchtime. It was dry for much of the rest of the day until the next burst. This in here, that began at late afternoon. That has dropped temperatures with the front coming through. It's currently 14 in the city, only 11 in these outer southeastern suburbs, including Scoresby. These showers continue tonight. There was cloud, showers and areas of light rain over much of Victoria again today, but not in Gippsland. Anywhere east of Traralgon, still warm and sunny. But once the front moves through tonight, it won't be anymore. That front is weakening as there is a strong high pressure system sitting just up to our north. That high will move across us tomorrow, then sit out to our east. So the front spreads those showers through Melbourne and Gippsland tonight with colder air. Then it clears overnight as the high comes in. That high brings back a stretch of cold and frosty nights and pleasant sunny days. That will take us through the rest of the week. The next strong front arrives later Friday into Saturday. This brings a band of rain over the west and north. We'll feel that in Melbourne on Saturday morning before it dissipates as it crosses Gippsland. Then it gets tricky. A cut-off low moves through. It brings rain at times, but big dry patches in there as well, and much of Victoria could actually miss out. Around the nation tomorrow, Brisbane partly cloudy while showers pass through Sydney. Those showers clear Adelaide and Hobart tonight, dry but cool there tomorrow. Perth has a burst of showers and gusty thunderstorms. To Victoria, we're all dry by tomorrow morning, but there is likely to be widespread fog and that could linger into the afternoon in parts. After that, increasing sunshine with light winds. Closer inland, we're all dry. There's local fog, otherwise cloudy at times, bright sunshine at others with light winds. Our nights are tending cold again. The city is 8 to start, then a top of only 14, but the sunny breaks in there should be feeling quite nice thanks to the calm air. Cool temperatures, but nice sunshine. To the 8-day outlook, the coldest morning is Thursday morning. That's when we're rugging up down to 5 in the city and freezing in the suburbs. It's a top of 16, bright sunshine all day. Bright sunshine on Friday too, top of 17. Cloud comes over at night. Rain starts about midnight and that lasts into the early hours of Saturday. Then lots of showers follow, so Saturday is the wet day. There's the chance of some wet weather as that low moves past here. We've got some cold temperatures in there too. So we are 14 tomorrow. Cooler, yes, but light winds and sunshine for much of the time, so that should feel quite nice, Mitch.
Not too bad at all. Thank you, Jane. Finally tonight, a teenage brother and sister have shared incredible video of a close encounter with a shark off the New South Wales coast. They were spearfishing when the shark spotted them and gave chase. As they frantically swam away, the predator suddenly changed its course and swam away just as well. And that's the way it is. This Tuesday, the 16th of June. Thanks for your company. For now, from the 7 News team, good night.
Closer each day.